Welcome back to Man vs. Meeple, the show where we talk about all things board game related. We are here today to talk about an expansion for one of our favorite games last year, Clank. This one's called Clank, Sunken Treasures, and it's coming out in March, right?
March, yeah, it's a couple months away. This is a small box expansion.
Yep.
It comes with a double-sided board.
Yeah, a whole new board on both sides.
And 35 new cards and a couple new tokens here and there.
Yeah, and a couple adjusted mechanics, slightly different to account for the water.
So let's look at the box first. It is a small box game, so it's very, very thin. Just has the cards and the board and, like I said, the tokens in there. The setup for the game, you can play on either side of the board, just like the old Clank. What it introduces, though, is it introduces water, which people have to navigate, and we'll get into the rules of how that works, and new cards, and of course there's a new antagonist. Last time we had the goblin who you could always beat up on.
Now this time the goldfish.
This time you include the goblin, but also you have the goldfish, and the unique portion about the goldfish is that he's the dragon's pet, quote unquote, and he can only be fought when you are underwater.
Yeah.
Now each of these boards has water on it, which you will be navigating. You have part of it that's above water and part of it that's flooded. And you'll be using gear, hopefully scuba gear, to navigate these areas.
Yeah, the water adds a couple interesting mechanics because if you start your turn underwater, you can't. You have to come up for air basically during your turn.
Yes.
You can finish your turn underwater, but at some point you have had to have surfaced into a room that has some air available to it, unless you have the scuba gear, which is a new item that you can get in the market.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that they've added that I really appreciate. The market was on the board before.
Yeah, it was incorporated into both sides of the old board.
Right, it had the places where you could go, and those are still here on this board, but they've taken and created a tile to hold all of the goodies, which is nice.
Yeah.
So just because there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of tokens already on the board, so it's nice to have that separate like that.
Yeah.
And the scuba gear is the new item in the market.
And if you don't come up for air, which we forgot to mention, if you don't come up for air, you take a point of damage. So you're that much further to dying.
It's cool. A new way to take damage in this game is kind of interesting.
There's also spots between the rooms that have scuba icons or the fin. In those areas, you either have to spend 2 points of movement or only 1 point of movement if you have scuba gear on. And the scuba gear completely negates any of the breathing underwater, so you can stay underwater without taking any damage at all. The other new portion to the board are the like the bursts is what I will call them.
Yes.
They're noisemakers. Anytime it's typically represents you diving into the water to go underwater, and that makes noise or clank. So each time you traverse one of those locations, depending upon how many symbols are there, you add that much clank to the board.
Right. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, those are the big differences.
Yeah.
The great thing that it has in common is that it's Clank.
Yeah.
It's good old-fashioned Clank with some new mechanics. The way I look at this expansion is that it's more of a really, really good thing. This was on maybe both of our top 10. The other thing about this game that I really found fascinating, I hadn't played Clank. We play so many games around here.
I know.
It'd been probably at least a month or so.
Yeah, it's been a couple months since I played Clank.
And playing it again, like you said, it reminded me of how much this really advanced the deck building genre. Because, like you said, you're not just motivated by the cards that are out.
Yeah.
You're more motivated by what you're trying to do on the board.
Yeah.
And trying to build your deck so that you can maneuver on the board. And at the same time, still acquire some decent cards to increase your abilities.
Yeah, what's also cool about this is you do add all the cards from the expansion into the base set, so you have a pretty healthy stack of cards here. And my biggest concern was you're not taking any of the old cards out, so you're just diluting the old deck. How's the balancing issue? We actually saw probably half of the cards in a 2-player game that we had played, and more than that in a 3- and 4-player game. So you're going to see all the new cards when you're playing the game. They go through pretty quickly, especially when you're buying them into multiple people's decks. So you're going to see them all, but the deck does become larger at that point.
Yeah, and it doesn't change the game so drastically that I mean, all the old cards still work perfectly. You're using movement to move. Yeah. There's just some benefits from having the scuba gear and things like that allow you to traverse the water a little easier.
Do you think this is a necessary expansion for people that have Clank?
I don't. Here's how I look at expansions. Sometimes we'll look at an expansion, we'll say, okay, I can't imagine ever playing this game without this expansion. This is not one of those, but it's not in a bad way.
Right.
This is more of a variety. Yeah. You know, when you're getting more boards, the way I look at this game is the way I would look at like a Formula Day and getting new tracks to play Formula Day or a game like that. In fact, when I see this, my imagination starts going wild with where are they going to go next with this? What thematically can they do?
Yeah.
And what new board can they bring about? Maybe add new mechanics as they add more expansions.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited. It's a really good deck builder. I know deck builders often have expansion upon expansion. Mm-hmm. This one should be really interesting to watch what they do, in my opinion.
100% agree. The expansion makes perfect sense. It integrates really well with the base set. To me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you own Clank and you like Clank, which we both do, a lot of people like Clank, and we believe that this is something you need to go pick up when the game comes out. So, good game. Very good. We've played a couple times. We really, really like it. Played both sides of the board. Good game.
Yeah, I'll probably be playing this expansion as opposed to the base version for quite a while whenever I play it with new groups. Because
why wouldn't you?
They haven't seen it. Yeah. They've seen the old Clank. We've played that for sure. But we'll probably be playing this one for some time.
If you guys have any questions about Clank, Sunken Treasures, make sure you make comments below. We'll answer everything. We'll put up a whole list of all the cards up. I've got a ton of pictures that we've taken. Make sure you guys subscribe to us, of course. Follow us on YouTube.
Like us on Facebook and Twitter.
And everything else that we do here at Man vs. Meeple. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.